Welcome to Healthy Canadians, your space for nuanced conversations and expert insights into the health topics that matter to us all. I'm your host, Beahen, and joined with me today is Alex Newman, co-host and producer.
Hey, Megan. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So today we're talking about something that might be a little upsetting to people's stomachs.
Ew.
We're talking about food safety and foodborne illness. So I think we've all had unfortunate experiences with that.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. And I think we all have, to at least a certain extent, good food safety practices at home, but maybe there's some room for fine tuning.
Totally. And the good news is that like Canada has a really great sterling record in terms of food safety, like big picture wise. But yeah, I mean, there was stuff that came up in the conversation that I was like really surprised by, like, oh, I should be doing that in my kitchen. I wasn't aware of that. So like, yeah, definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, and looking at our habits and improving them, but also maybe wondering, like, why do I do that?
Totally, yeah.
So today we're talking to Dr. Sandeep Tamber. She's a microbiologist specializing in food safety at Health Canada.
Great. And before we get started, just a little housekeeping. So although Healthy Canadians is produced by Health Canada and the Public Health Agency of Canada, what we discuss won't always reflect the official positions or policies of the Government of Canada. But that's okay. These are conversations, not news releases.
Let's talk about food safety.
All right.
Hello, Sandeep. Thank you so much for joining Healthy Canadians today.
Hi, Megan. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's just jump right in. Tell us, what do you do at Health Canada?
Well, I'm a research scientist. I work in the Bureau of Microbial Hazards, and I study food safety. So specifically, I study how bacteria can survive in foods and how we can manage the risks of having those bacteria in our foods so we don't get sick.
Cool. And how did you come to get that job? How did you get interested in that line of work?
Well, it's a really long and winding story, but basically I've always been fascinated with bacteria. I've always wanted to know how they survive and how they can live. They're just so fascinating. They can live in different environments, like from volcanoes to under the water to on our food and in our bodies, and then they can cause disease. They're so tiny and they can bring down whole populations of people, and I just found that really fascinating. So I just kept following microbiology throughout my career and throughout my education, and that turned into a PhD. And then I was very lucky. I had several opportunities to work in different aspects of microbiology. And when this opportunity came up at Health Canada, I got to combine my hobby, which is cooking, with my passion, which is microbiology. And I think I have one of the best jobs in the world.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't know you're like a secret chef also.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so
for sure.
Cooking well and cooking safely is kind of your jam.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so like day to day, are you like in a lab? Are you growing bacteria? What does a typical day look like for you?
So I am very lucky. I have a very nice lab. I have with a technician, and I have students coming in and out, and they do the majority of the work. And I just have these dreams of projects, and they execute them. Sometimes I'll go into the lab because I do like working with my hands, but most of the time I'm at the desk writing reports, writing project summaries, things like that, and just thinking up ideas of what needs to be learned and how we can go about learning that in the lab.
Very cool. Okay, I'm going to ask you a personal question before we really open it up into foodborne illness in Canada.
Sure.
I don't know if you ever have watched Friends. Have you ever watched Friends?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Never heard of it. Some obscure show.
We can edit this out. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about Friends on Healthy Canadians. But there's an episode where Phoebe dates a food inspector. And I'm just going to acknowledge you are not obviously a food inspector at all.
No,
but
not at all.
He knows too much about food safety. And in the episode, they go to a bunch of different restaurants. And he sees health violations, and he ends up shutting each restaurant down. So it becomes a big problem. So my question for you is, do you know too much? Does it scare you? Do you think about it daily?
I do think about it daily, but it doesn't scare me. It fascinates me. I think that you can, the more you know, the better it is, because then you can manage your risks. But then also for me, because this is my job, I can see the potential hazards. Where are the gaps in people's knowledge, and how can we study those gaps in order to help them learn more about food safety? So it's kind of like through my work, I'm equipping people with the knowledge that they need so that they don't get sick, and
Cool.
they will be able to see things and just be like, I'm going to be okay. I know how to deal with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're coming at it from like a curious and positive point of view.
Yeah, I try to.
Are all your friends nervous though when you go
I was
to a
literally
dinner party?
just going to ask that. I was literally just going to like, oh no, Sandeep's coming to the barbecue. Like, we better make sure our food safety
He's wearing
is
a hazmat
on
suit
point.
at the grill.
No, I don't think so. I think they'd be more nervous that the food tastes good as opposed to it being safe. Kind of a
But you're a chef.
kind of a picky eater.
Okay.
But I think there is like a higher level of expectation because they do know that this is my job, and so they will jokingly be like, oh, don't worry, this fork is clean, or something like that. But
they're washing the greens like a few
Yeah.
times.
That's good.
I'm
You're
just
coming
beginning
out
to
for-
realize that maybe I'm not the easiest friend to have. So thank you, friends. Thanks for inviting me over.
Shout out to Sandeep's friends. No, I think they probably love you for it.
Well, they're definitely healthier for it. So
Yeah,
that's good.
exactly. Exactly. Okay, so I think the good news is that generally overall food is safe, pretty safe in Canada, right?
Definitely. We are lucky. We have one of the safest food safety programs in the world. Our food safety system is really, really good. I have a lot of confidence in it for sure.
And so what is foodborne illness and like how does it happen?
So from a microbiology standpoint, foodborne illness is when there is a microbe. So this can be a bacteria, it can be a virus, it can be a parasite, basically any little nasty that you can't see with your visible eye and you need a microscope. If those are in your food, and they're of a certain variety, which we call pathogens, so not all microbes are pathogenic, just a few a subset of them. So like there's just a few bad actors, and those are the ones that can make you sick. So if they're on your food and you eat your food and they survive and they make it all the way down to your stomach, they can cause an illness. And that illness is usually, it's just it's a blanket of symptoms. We call it food poisoning. So it's like upset stomach, vomiting. Most of the time you'll have diarrhea. Sometimes you'll have a fever. But it's that general, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure everybody has experienced food poisoning at one point. But it's that general digestive malaise that we do get sometimes.
Okay. And so when you're like cleaning fruits or vegetables, for example,
Yeah.
you are trying to wash off those pathogens.
Well, you're trying to not only wash off those pathogens, you're trying to wash off if there's any dirt on the fruit or any other types of bacteria. Like I'm sure when you go to a grocery store, the fruit there, it's been handled by a lot of different people.
Right.
Maybe some of it rolled onto the ground. So you're not necessarily washing it with the aim of washing away the pathogens. You're just washing it in order to make it clean. The chances of fruit and vegetables being contaminated with pathogens in Canada, it's possible for sure, but it's very low. So I wouldn't say that every apple at, X grocery store is going to have a pathogen on it, but it's a good chance you'll have like some hair on it or some dirt or whatever, and you don't want to eat that, right? So you'll wash your apple.
You're washing it to keep it clean.
Or your fruit.
There's a better way to think about it.
Yeah.
Not washing away the pathogens.
Exactly. That's
sounds a bit
that's not a good way to live.
So you mentioned too that like pretty much everyone will experience, and I think we can all attest to that, having foodborne illness or food poisoning throughout their lives. How big is a problem is it in Canada though? Like how common is it? Like do we have statistics and things like that?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. We do have statistics. I believe it's around every year 1 in 9 Canadians will experience a foodborne illness around there. But the thing about those stats is that foodborne illness is generally underreported because not everyone who has a foodborne illness will go to the doctor,
Right.
and not all doctors will ask for a test. So it's something that we call underreporting. So it's really underreporting, and then there are metrics that we can have. We can have statistics that multiply the reported rates to get a better estimate of how many people are getting sick. So, for example, the bacteria I study, it's called Salmonella, and the estimated value is 26. So for every one report we get of Salmonella, we estimate that there are 26 other people who have salmonellosis or who have had salmonellosis.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a big problem, I'd say. Yeah.
And do you have a sense for like, are foodborne illnesses more likely to happen like when you're eating out at a restaurant or when you're eating at home? You're eating at your friend's house? Just thinking of the Phoebe buffet example.
Well, I haven't seen anything that would pinpoint a particular location for having a foodborne illness. I think there are certain types of foods where foodborne illness is more likely.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a location-dependent thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's so circumstantial, I would think, too, right? Like
Exactly.
it's about who's cooking where and the practices, right? So it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you can have very clean kitchens in households, and you can have very messy kitchens. And same with restaurants, like they differ in quality. So it's not, it's not anything that you can pin to a certain location for sure.
Let's talk about eating well at home then. So things that people can do at home, like thinking about food safety as like a part of eating well. So what are some really good habits we can have at home to take care of our food or prepare it really well?
Well, we have what we like to call the 3 C's and 1 S of food safety.
3 C's and 1 S?
The 3 C's and 1 S. It's
Love
a very
it.
catchy term, eh?
I love it.
But basically, it just means I can go through each of them for you. So the first C is clean. So keep a clean environment where you're preparing your food. And the second C is cook. So cook your food if it needs to be cooked to the appropriate temperatures. The third C is chill. I always forget that one. So chill, actually, a better letter would be T, temperature, right? So you want to keep your hot foods hot and you want to keep your cold foods cold. And you don't want to keep anything out at room temperature for too long. So maybe 2 hours. If it's a hot day outside, 1 hour maximum. And the S stands for separate. So you want to keep your raw foods separated from your cooked foods. But a better way to think about this, Megan, I'm going to tell you everybody is secret. So this is like the
secret.
This is like the microbiology equivalent of E equals MC squared. So it's pretty hot stuff. So the goal of every bacteria on this earth is to become 2 bacteria. So what you want to do when you're thinking about food safety is you want to prevent that 1 from becoming a 2. And the ways of controlling that are through the 3 C's and 1 S, right? So you want to prevent the temperatures from being hospitable to bacterial growth. So that's where the chill comes from. And that's also where the cook comes from, because if you cook your food to the appropriate temperature, you will kill or inactivate, is what we call it, all of the bacteria in your meat. So that's why raw meat can make you sick, but when you cook the meat, you're eliminating that risk because you're killing all of the bacteria.
Cool.
Right? And then cleaning, you're wiping away the bacteria. You're getting them off of your space. And then separating is also important because some foods do carry a higher load of bacteria. So this is raw foods, like raw meats. Mm-hmm. So you want to separate them from the ready-to-eat foods, so fruits and vegetables, because you're just moving your bacteria from one substrate onto another. So you're introducing them to all these wonderful new sugars and nutrients that they can eat, and then that 1 can become 2 and 4, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're trying to prevent.
Cool.
Yeah.
Some of those seem very intuitive to me. Mm-hmm. Others maybe less so. Like the separate, could we unpack that a little bit? So separating, does that start at the grocery store when the cashier says, do you want your meat in a separate bag?
Yes, that is
And do I?
that is a wonderful offer, and I encourage you to take it up as much as you can.
Okay, so when you go to the grocery store, do you have one bag for meats and fish and
Definitely,
one for produce?
Definitely. And I always put my meat in a separate plastic bag, like a produce bag.
Okay.
And then the tote I have for the meat, it's designated for the raw meat. And it's kind of like this plasticky material.
So it's not like a canvas tote bag.
No, it's not. And you can wipe it down and you can clean it quite frequently. And I never, ever put fresh produce in there, like, or unbagged, fruit or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when that tote gets really dirty and really ratty, I'll give it to my kids and they can put their sporting equipment in it or whatever, but it doesn't come back in the kitchen.
Okay, see, I'm learning stuff already. I had a feeling I was
You might not want to do that again, back to food after the sporting equipment.
Yeah, it goes one way only after that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a hot tip. And then, so just to continue on this train of keeping it separate, once you bring it home, separate when it goes in the fridge and separate when you're preparing it on the counter as well?
Definitely. So if you're keeping raw meat in the fridge, I would recommend to keep it on the lower portion of your fridge.
Oh.
Sometimes meat can drip, so you don't want the juices to fall on anything that you might...
Like your produce that's underneath.
Exactly.
Like my produce actually sits in a drawer and I put the meat on top.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's bad.
Or, the juice can drip onto the shelf, and then later you might put, like a cookie, or I don't know what you put in your fridge, like, or a sandwich
you're directly going to
that
eat.
you're directly going to eat, and then that drip from the shelf will come onto the food that you're going to eat, and then you might not want to cook that food, right? So that's
that sounds gross.
So that's what we mean by separate. And like, if you want to kind of take it, if you don't have room on the bottom of your fridge or whatever, you can always put your meat in a container.
Okay.
So that'll control any drippage.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it's really contained.
So like
that.
on the bottom in a container.
I like that.
And then that's the way to go.
And then when it's on the counter.
When it's on the counter,
want separate cutting boards?
Yeah, separate cutting boards for sure. I personally always will deal with the raw meat first.
Okay.
On like I have this red, because most red meat, so red cutting board.
Yeah.
So I'll do all that work there, and then I will go and I'll wash my hands really well again, and then I will start working with the vegetables on my green one. Because they had green for produce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about like sort of individual day-to-day habits. And I'm going to admit that like I'm probably not like a 10 out of 10. I'm already admitting like I don't have separate bags, but I'm going to change that. Where I personally start to think more about food safety, like I'm like, okay, really I have to be a 10 out of 10 on this, is when I start preparing food for others. Because when I have people coming over or I'm cooking for like a potluck or whatever, it's a special occasion, then I'm not promoting this as a good way of thinking, okay? I'm just saying this is who I am. I am really making sure that I'm doing all the right things, because I obviously don't want anyone to get sick. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about like what it means to cook for other people who might have a different like risk profile than you.
Yeah, so exactly, Megan. When you're cooking for others, you're elevating the risk, right? Because you're not considering just yourself anymore. You're considering the people and their ages. So people who are at the extremes of age, so really young children, and I would say, our wiser adults who are above 60, their immune system, it tends to so for kids it's developing, and as you get older, your immune system kind of slows down. So you really have to, follow the food safety rules to ensure that those people don't get sick. You can also have people come over, they're just having a bad day. Maybe they're coming down with a cold. There could be people who are pregnant. And all of these people are at a higher risk of not only getting sick, but they're also at a higher risk of having more severe consequences of having food poisoning. So, always, I would say, be more aware that you are cooking for these people, and just try to take the precautions that you would need to take to ensure that, that the meat is cooked really well and you've done your best to separate things. And Yeah, and always just kind of, I'm always really transparent when I have people come over, and I'll say like, okay, for example, we love to have people come over in the summer for barbecues, and we'll just say, okay, this is just cooked to medium. It's a little bit pink inside. If you're not happy or comfortable with this, we have other options for you.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're okay with it being a bit pink inside?
Yeah, well, I have to say I'm from Alberta, so we like a medium rare steak. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're transparent because not everyone wants that
Not
or feels
everyone
safe.
wants that,
But like it's not to their
exactly.
taste necessarily,
Yeah.
but also some people might not feel safe and they want something that's completely
They
cooked
want
through.
something that's well done. And if we're in a situation where we can't have multiple steaks, then we'll do them to multiple donenesses to suit
Cool.
what everybody wants. But I think it's always best to be transparent so that if somebody's uncomfortable eating something, they won't put it on their plate, right?
Well, it's a good reminder too when you have people over, because it's kind of hectic cooking for. It can be, depending on how many people you're cooking. I know I'm like cuckoo bananas when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking for like my whole family, and they're over. So like, although I'm pretty aware of it, there's probably a much higher risk of me doing something silly, and like,
That's a good point.
so like being a little extra kind of mindful. When
Yeah,
you're doing
mindful.
It is
We like
probably
that
good.
word. Yeah,
Mindfulness.
mindful about it. I feel like cooking meats is like a good example for when you're like, for some people anyway, when you have a celebration. Like I'm thinking about like Thanksgiving dinner, preparing a turkey, for example. So I heard that we're not supposed to rinse chicken or turkeys. Is that true?
Yeah, so yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think this practice originated at different times in different cultures, because if you think about how we were getting our chickens and turkeys, usually it was, well, I don't want to say usually, but sometimes it could have been like a backyard slaughter. You're slaughtering your own bird, so you want to wash it to get the blood off and feathers, dirt, I don't know. Some countries and some cultures, they have what are called open air markets.
Right.
So that food is just kind of hanging and it's being exposed to dirt or fumes from cars and whatever. So it makes sense when you bring that home to wash it, to get all the dirt and stuff off of it. The way that most of our chicken and turkey comes from in Canada, it's comes from a processing plant. It's nicely shrink wrapped and it's been rinsed or chilled and processed. So there's no need to wash it. And if you're actually washing it, if you're going to wash it, you're actually increasing your risk of getting an illness, because the water will splash. It'll go everywhere on your counters, on your sink, and it might even splash on yourself. And all of those little droplets of water can contain potential pathogens, and you can get sick through. And that's another S, right? So that's a separate, because you're just spreading water everywhere. You're not containing that those microbes that might be in your meat.
So if you're preparing chicken,
Yeah.
and let's say you're roasting it,
Yeah.
don't bother rincing it. Dry it off if you
Yeah,
want
you can
to. 'cause
dry
that,
it.
You want to
Yeah,
dry it
definitely.
for
You can
other purposes.
Yeah, you can. There's beautiful recipes. You can rub butter and
Right.
spices on them.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's
there's-
all good.
Yeah, that's all good.
just don't
but
need to wash it
there's no
first.
need to. Yeah, there's no need to wash it for sure. Yeah.
Okay, the other moment that's like scary for me when I'm preparing food from like a food safety perspective is the turkey done yet?
Okay.
And I feel like, we've all had a moment where we might have like thought it was done and then you cut into it and it wasn't quite done.
There's like social pressure too. If you get if you make like a dry turkey, right? Like you get like scorn from the family, like you overcooked this turkey. It's like, well, it's better than undercooking, I guess. But
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're afraid that you're overcooking it, so you might pull it out a bit early.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so what is the best way to make sure a turkey, or meat in general, I guess, is done?
Well, we have, they're called safe recommended internal temperatures.
Right.
If you go to our website,
Yep.
it's actually our most visited website of the Bureau of Microbial Hazard. So it's canada.ca/food safety, or you can just Google cooking temperatures.
Yeah.
And so the recommendation is to take a meat thermometer and put it in the thickest portion of the bird. So usually that's the breast. And then you want to be sure that it registers to that internal temperature, which for whole birds is 82 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And you want to check it in a few different spots, because you can have places where the heat will pool and places that it'll dissipate. So yeah, I would recommend checking the breast in a few different places, and then also check the thigh and the joint where the thigh meets the rest of the bird. I don't know what the technical term is for that.
No, that's a good way to describe it.
But yeah, so yeah, just check several different places. Make sure you're hitting 82 and your turkey is done at that point. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some other like maybe not so great habits that people might have. How about not cleaning certain types of fruit? So like if I'm eating a certain fruit, let's say I'm cutting into it and I know I'm only going to eat the outside, like a melon, or I'm never going to eat the rind, do I need to really clean the whole thing?
Yeah, for sure. So let me tell you what happens.
Yeah, tell me what happens.
I don't want to scare you, but let me tell you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you have your outside of the melon. It's been growing on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's been in contact with soil. And guess what lives in soil in the billions?
Bad stuff.
No, not bad stuff.
Oh,
bacteria.
good stuff.
No,
Sorry.
Not good stuff. We're not doing value judgments. We're
It's
just
neutral.
saying-
Bacteria is neutral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Neutrally fascinating.
Yeah. Love that.
So you have that on the surface of your melon, and then you slice it with your knife, and guess what goes into this interior of your melon through the blade of the knife?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is why we recommend to wash your fruit, is to get all of that gucky stuff off, and then when you cut into it with your knife, you're not going to be introducing anything from the outside to the inside. So that's another example of an S of separating.
Yeah.
Right?
That's really handy. Like, that's something I would have never thought of. I don't think I've ever washed a melon or a pineapple or like any like hard. No.
Yeah,
Like,
like
I'm
do I
not
have to
gonna
wash
eat
a
the outside,
pineapple?
so I don't
Excuse me,
think
do I
about it,
have
but
to
it makes
wash a
sense.
pineapple? Do you wash a pineapple?
Well, I'm actually allergic to pineapples, so no.
Okay, bad example.
But I don't see why not, right?
Okay.
Like if you get, those
Tricky.
produce, like it's
you
kind of
need a
spiky,
brush.
so you need a brush,
to
right?
get
So
in
you
there.
just get a brush and you scrub, and you're good
Okay.
to go. Yeah.
I don't want to attack pineapple because I love pineapple.
I've heard it's good on pizza.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
It's
you
controversial.
Can't relate. Yeah, no, I'm not into that. What about fruit that you buy at the grocery store that's already pre-prepared? This is a genuine question from me.
Like the stuff in like the trays?
Yeah, like I bought some fruit.
Oh, like
yesterday
fruit salad?
or like it's already been pre-cut up for you because you didn't want to take it home and cut it up yourself.
So then,
good to go.
So then the assumption would be that it was washed by the facility that cut it, and it's ready to eat. So you just open that up and you enjoy it.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Okay, what about greens that have been pre-washed from the grocery store?
You mean those bag salads?
Yeah.
So yeah, those we don't recommend washing because they've been washed. So
okay, good to go.
Most of them say like on the bag.
Yeah,
if
I know.
you look at the bag, they say triple wash.
Yeah,
right. So
and that's good to go.
That's
Seal
good
of
to
approval
go
from Sandeep if it's triple wash.
Yeah, just open that bag up and have your salad.
See, I thought that was going to be a bad habit.
No, you're doing
because every time I
well.
look at the bag, honestly, when I'm getting like something that's already pre-washed or pre-prepared, I think to myself like, should I wash it again? But I don't.
Yeah, don't wash it again. You know what? I think that's that might be a bad habit that some people have, is that they don't read the labels.
Oh,
so
that's
always
a good
read
tip.
labels, right? Like if it says it's washed, don't wash it.
Yeah,
right.
And if you're not sure, if you're not sure if it's washed,
not sure, then you can wash it.
Maybe give it a wash.
Hurt. Yeah, like if you see like chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
If the box is raw, then they're raw. Like take that extra precautions of how you're preparing them. Like treat them as raw meat.
Okay.
If they say that they're cooked, then you have that reassurance that they're cooked, and you can just put them in the oven and cook them according to the directions.
Okay.
But yeah, like so just the labels have like so much information, so just read them.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go through some myths, if we may.
All right.
Some quick food myths. You need to use a produce cleaner. True or false?
Oh, like the sanitizer in this.
Yeah. I run with a group that uses that a lot, and I don't know if that's really required.
I don't think you do. I think cold water is good, and using a brush. Actually, one of the best things you can do is that rubbing. Like when you wash your hands, you're told to rub we all learned how to wash our hands
yeah,
during COVID, right?
Yeah, we've ingrained that in our minds.
So just rub your melon, rub your whatever it is, and just get all the dirt off. But you don't need any sprays.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a brush is recommended.
Yeah, a brush is recommended for sure. Yeah, and then just toss that in the dishwasher when you're
Yeah. Okay, you got to keep cleaning using that brush. Because you got it just like the produce bag.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to clean your something with a dirty something, because then you're gonna make it dirty.
Okay, here's the most controversial question of this episode. 5-second rule.
Oh no.
Real or not? Let's ask Alex first. Do you abide by the 5-second rule?
We were talking about this when we were like having prep meetings too, and it really depends on whose floor. It's the state of the floor for me. If it's like my own floor and I know I've cleaned it recently, I'm okay with the 5-second rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sandeep, 5-second rule for you personally.
Well, for me personally, I work in a salmonella lab.
Yeah.
So
you're not eating anything off the salmonella floor.
I'm dragging salmonella from my shoes.
Okay.
Right? So for me, no, because I've been to places. No. I've been to places, people.
She's seen things.
But they have done studies, and it's not even 5 seconds. It's pretty much instantaneous.
Okay.
So I agree with Alex. It depends on where you are.
Okay.
If you have confidence in the cleanliness of the floor. And actually, it's interesting because carpeted floors have a much quicker rate of absorption than just like a hardwood floor or something.
Okay.
So there is going to be transfer. So you've been warned. You know this now.
Yep.
And you can go forth.
What about leftover rice? There's a myth that, or maybe it's not a myth, maybe it is true, that leftover rice carries a certain amount of food safety risk.
Yeah, I love this question.
Okay, good. It's going viral right now on social media. I don't know why, but that's what exposed me to this idea.
So the particular type of, and I can do like a super deep dive into the micro, but I probably shouldn't, so I won't. So the type of bacteria that we're concerned about in the cooked rice, it actually, it makes these things called spores. And think of these as seeds. So from these spores, you can get a new bacteria. So the danger is when you cook the rice, you're killing off all of the vegetative bacteria. So all of the living bacteria, you're killing that off with the heat, right? Mm-hmm. But the spores are heat resistant, so they survive. Okay. So the danger is as the rice is cooling down, you're getting that nice environment of like 37 degrees human body temperature.
Yep.
And that's perfect. We call it germination. That's perfect for these spores to open up and make little bacteria babies. Okay. And then they can make, I believe this particular bacteria makes a toxin, so they can make the toxin, which causes the food poisoning. So that's why the rice is, it's a very risky type of thing to do, to keep the rice out at room temperature for too long. So that's why you want to chill it as soon as you're done with it.
Okay, so it's not that you're not allowed to have leftover rice. It's just like you want to put it in the fridge.
You want to cool it down, like
cool it down first.
Cool it down,
then put it in the fridge.
So a lot of people will cook rice in a rice cooker.
And leave it there. Yeah.
So let's put it in something shallow, like a shallow Tupperware. Cool it down, put it in the fridge, and then the next time you want to eat it, just heat it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too, because it's got to be circumstantial too. Like if you're having a barbecue and you're sitting out in 30-degree weather, you probably want to keep it pretty brief. How long you're leaving it?
That's a very good point.
But if it's you're out having a barbecue in minus 30 degree, I'm just kidding. I have a question too. A lot of it seems like it's habit based, right? Like we talked earlier about the rinsing the chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, is a good part of food safety, and this is more of an opinion thing, I guess, about kind of challenging those and thinking about the things you do sort of objectively and saying, like, is this a good habit and why am I doing this? Is it just because my parents did it?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah. Again, let's go to our favorite word, mindfulness, right? Like, why are you doing this? Do you need to do this? Or... it's always a good idea to evaluate your habits throughout your life. So risk is actually, some people equate risk with chance, probability.
Right.
Like, what are the chances I'm going to get sick? Actually, risk is probability times consequence. So that's going to change throughout your life. If you're pregnant, the consequence becomes much higher because it's not just one life.
Right.
As we get older, our immune system decreases. The efficacy of our immune system decreases. Yep. So the consequence of getting sick is more. It's higher because chances are higher that you'll have a more severe illness. Something that our audience might not think about is when you're traveling, the consequences are higher. Right. Because you're not at home, you don't have your doctor. What are you going to do if you get sick and you're abroad?
Right.
So always think about risk as probability times consequence, and that can kind of maybe spur you to look at your habits in a new way and whether or not you need to change them or accommodate them to accommodate other people that you might be feeding.
What is the most common thing, I don't know, like not great habit that you see people doing that's like easily corrected in terms of food safety? Like what is a simple, easy thing that people are doing wrong that you could give advice on? Or an area for an improvement?
That's a really interesting question. I think, so in the summer I see this a lot, and it's when you're barbecuing. And so you'll put your meat, let's say you're making burgers, so you'll put your burgers on the grill, and then you will use your spatula and you'll flip, right?
Yep.
So your spatula just touched a raw piece of meat.
Yes.
So what are you using to take your cooked burger off of the grill? Right? And I see this all the time in the summer. So please use like tongs, go wash your spatula, get 2 spatulas, have a cooked one and a raw one. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what?
Alex's brain just exploded.
No, the opposite, actually. I'm so glad you said that.
Oh, really? I've never even thought of that.
I do that.
Obviously horrible.
I'm really paranoid about that. I have 2 spatulas for every time I'm cooking meat. And I get kind of made fun of a little bit in my house for doing it.
Yeah, you could have like a raw spatula. Do you have like a raw spatula and a cooked spatula?
Not like assigned, but I'll just like...
But you think about it when you're cooking.
When I start cooking the meat and I'm like the first flip kind of thing.
Okay. Even in your chaos that you've already described, that you have chaotic family dinners. Yeah. And when you're preparing food for others.
No, I feel very vindicated now.
Awesome.
That's a great hot tip to close on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandeep. This has been super informative, and I can tell you're extremely passionate about what you do because that obviously comes through. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to link all of the hot tips, all of the food safety information in our show notes so listeners can access it that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for letting me talk about this. I really love it, so thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Healthy Canadians. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button and subscribe to stay up to date on all future episodes. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review if you like what you heard. For more information on health topics that matter to you, visit canada.ca/health.